Hello, everyone. Sorry, we were just remarking that apparently it's Yellow Blazer Day. So if you have your yellow blazers in the crowd, wave. So, halito everyone. Lexie Holden, Choctaw. Hi, my name is Lexie Holden. I'm a citizen of the Choctaw Nation of Oklahoma, though I'm based in Washington, D.C. And as was already said, I serve as the Associate Director of Policy and Government Relations for the Intertribal Agriculture Council. And I'm so excited to be here today. This is my first time at this conference, and it is just such an honor and such a delight to see so many faces that I've seen on Zoom, a couple of faces I've had the joy of seeing in person so far, and some new faces as well. And so I'm just so excited to be here and to be in good company with all of you. And thanks so much for making it out for the conference. I'm taking over this presentation from my colleague and coworker, Latashia Redhouse, who serves as the director of IAC's American Indian Foods Program. She, though a remarkable woman, cannot be in two places at once. That's one of the skills she does not have, and so she's currently in Las Vegas at Res, and so I told her I'd attempt to give a presentation in her absence. So, as was previously stated, today I'm going to be giving a presentation on supporting Indigenous food producers, opportunities for growth and development through IAC programming. So by the end of this presentation, you are going to be very familiar with the Intertribal Agriculture Council and all of our departments and programs that we offer. Before diving into those, I want to give you a little bit of our history and sort of our mission as well. So the Intertribal Agriculture Council was founded in 1987 to pursue and promote the conservation, development, and use of our agricultural resources for the betterment of our people. So if you remember in 1987, I was not here, but if you were here, perhaps you remember the farm financial crisis that was taking place across the United States, wherein producers were having their loans accelerated or were being foreclosed on, and this was happening to a disproportionate rate to Native American producers. And so a collection of tribal leaders in 1987 came together in a true expression of self-determination. They identified and delegated their representatives within the IC to inform policy and USDA programs. They went to the Hill, they went to Washington, D.C., and they said, hey, this is something that's affecting our producers in Indian country. We're not able to feed our people. Our farms are being foreclosed on, our ranches are being foreclosed on. What are you going to be able to do to help our communities be able to continue to feed ourselves? So just really trying to redefine and rebuild our, self-determination through tribal food systems. So at the IAC, we promote the use of Indian resources for the benefit of Indian people by Indian people. This is informed by our trade routes, by our food systems that have existed since time immemorial, since before colonization for thousands of years, and we really seek to address systemic inequities that our tribal producers and our Native American communities face as a whole. So, as we all know, food and agriculture are essential to Native American economies and cultures. Do we have any tribal producers in the room? Raise your hand and I don't know, cheer for yourself if you're a tribal producer. Yeah, cheer for yourself if you're a producer, you're feeding your communities. That's super cool. I know there's some producers in here because I have seen you today. So maybe you're just being sneaky. Okay, well, since the producers won't raise their hands, how many people in this room eat food made by tribal producers? And if you were at this banquet yesterday, I hope you raise your hand because I'm pretty sure some of the wild rice and other items were hopefully sourced from producers in the area. Do we like the meal yesterday? Do we like tribal foods? Awesome. Okay, that's the kind of, I was gonna say, it's 9 o'clock, let's have some energy. If you weren't up at 6, this is your time to get your energy in, okay? So as we know, food and ag are central to our communities. In the 2017 ag census, which is the last one that was taken, we had 80,000 Native American producers across Indian country, and this is most likely an undercount because historically and traditionally the census does tend to undercount Native Americans. We were farming or ranching on 59 million acres across the country, resulting in $3.5 billion in sales, and 68% of our producers live in just 5 states. That's Arizona. Do we have people from Arizona in here? Okay. Oklahoma. Yeah! Sorry, I'm sitting with a table of some Oklahoma folks. New Mexico. Texas? Okay, there's one really enthusiastic person from Texas. Awesome. And California. Anyone from California here today? Awesome. Okay, so y'all represent the top 5 states for Native American producers. So even though this is, 2017 ag census, data, we know that agriculture extends far, before this in our history. It extends prior to the treaties when, access to education and healthcare and agricultural resources were promised to us, when we ceded our lands or they were forcibly taken from us. And we know that, agriculture in our communities existed long before colonization. We have fed ourselves since time immemorial, and agriculture has played an enormous role in that. So I'm here to tell you all about the IAC and what we can do to support you if you are a tribal producer, if you know a tribal producer, if you're just interested in food sovereignty in your community. Like I said, we serve over 80,000 Native American producers, and last year we helped 13,000 plus individuals through our technical assistance network, helping to create $30 million in tribal producer sales. So the IAC, since its humble beginnings 35 years ago, has really expanded to include so many different types of programs and departments, and I'll kind of touch on each one today, with a special emphasis on AIF, because I did do this presentation on behalf of Lottie, so if I didn't talk about AIF, I think she'd be pretty upset with me. But yeah, like I said, we're here to offer you a variety of resources to help support your tribal communities and your Native producers within those communities to help us be able to continue to feed ourselves. So. Like I said, we have a bunch of different departments. I serve as the Associate Director of Policy and Government Relations, meaning I'm doing a lot of the legal and policy work. We also have a professional development team, and actually our professional development specialist, Eleni, should be in this room. I think I saw you earlier. Yes, there's Eleni! Woo! I'm going to shout out the Native youth later, but she's with a table of Native youth who are here today, so that's so exciting. We work with food systems, so that's the American Indian Foods Program. We have a communications department, an economics department as well, and conservation and natural resources too. So we kind of do a little bit of everything. So hopefully you'll find a program today in our presentation that you might think about using sometime this year. The first of which is our Technical Assistance Network. Our technical assistance specialists are really the bread and butter of the mission of IAC. So we have 12 technical assistance specialists, one in every BIA region, so you can see how the regions are broken down on this map. We also have a director and an associate director. I highly recommend checking out their success stories. We published volume 3, that's for 2020, which, as we all know, because of the COVID-19 pandemic, was a really unique and tragic year in our communities. But some of the activities that our technical assistance specialists helped with included a native plant walk with Linda Blackout, who I believe is on our agenda for this event, talking about preserving traditional food and medicine knowledge. There was the Food for Families initiative in 2020, which was helping Native youth who were raising livestock through 4-H programs, who ordinarily would be showing those animals and then auctioning them off. The shows weren't able to happen because of COVID-19 and quarantine restrictions, so instead they did online auctioning, and they had these premium processing coupons wherein the Native youth were paid a substantial amount, more than they would have made ordinarily, to process their animals and then choose to either keep it for themselves and feed their families, or to perhaps donate it back to their communities, maybe through a tribal elder support center or something like that. Also helping tribal producers through USDA for the food distribution program on Indian reservations, helping get started for the 638 FDIPR pilot programs. I won't talk about that too much because that's Joe Van Alstein's presentation at 11:15 today, so if you're interested in FDIPR, go see that. But Menominee and Oneida, Red Cliff, and Little Traverse Bay Band of Odawa Indians are all participating in that program. So the Technical Assistance Network is really the go-between between USDA programs and tribal communities on the ground, and really just do a wide variety of things and wear many, many hats. So American Indian Foods is another huge program we have at the IAC. So we work with tribal producers, American Indian, Alaska Native producers, to help market their items, both domestically and internationally. You might not know this, but there's a huge international market actually for products made or produced by American Indians, and also domestically as well. So AIF includes such things as our export program, so helping take producers on trade missions globally to help them access those international markets. The Native Food Connection Box. This is a custom food box where you can sample products from the producers who are part of the AIF program. So things from Sakari Farms, Yakima Nation Farms, Seca Hills, Native American Natural Foods, Critfic Fisheries, Spirit Lake Native Farms, and Red Lake Nation are some of the items, or some of the places that you can get foods from through this connection box. And also the Made and Produced by American Indians trademark, which is a free trademark for producers to be able to use. You can see it in the top bubble there. But you can print it on your own labels, or you can get stickers from us for free if you'd like to use it. You just have to apply to be part of the program and to show that you are actually Native American and are able to use the trademark. But it's a really great thing. I have a little video on the next slide that's going to play as soon as I press the button, so I'm going to try not to preemptively press it. But it's a video showcasing some of our producers who participate in the AIF program because, one, it's a super cool video and I want you all to see it, and two, the producers are even cooler than the video, so I feel like you should meet them all today. But let's see.
There are certain inherent values that we adhere to, and respect is a key ingredient. That love and care is really, you can't help but notice it.
We're not just growing veggies, but we're stewarding the entire environment, the entire ecosystem that we have here.
Everything about gathering is of the earth and of the sea, whether it's harvesting from the waters or harvesting nunatat of the land. You have to be focused on the land and your environment.
It's not just communities working in silos, but it's Indian country working as a whole together in order to feed ourselves.
Food that we're accessing is part of our traditional diets.
Red Lake initial food they had was the wild rice. So added jams, jellies, coffees, teas, sage, representation of our culture to keep our culture going, especially for our young people.
Everything that we produce, we grow ourselves.
It's also bringing back our role as Indigenous people and as original stewards of these lands.
For thousands of years, the Shunak people have been, harvesting seafood, and it's been a mainstay of their diet. We can take care and take it slow and do smaller quantities and higher qualities.
The food we grow and eat and the seeds we save, but also how we grow them, how we relate to our food relatives, and how we really restore this circle of kinship.
Every inch of tundra is a life force, and we can see it when you're close up to it or from 100 miles away.
That we gathered was good for food and for medicine. We always imagined it would be great for your skin.
Everything we use, from picking to drying to extraction, everything is used in every stage of the process.
Families get together to go out and camp and pick berries, and that keeps the family unit together.
We started small, processed about 3,000 gallons of oil in our first year. And we've steadily grown to the point now where we're going to process about 75,000 gallons of olive oil.
When I say cold water oysters to like a chef or a oyster bar owner, they really perk up because they understand their flavor is going to be top-notch because they know that the oysters are that fine, world-class product.
Using natural ingredients and producing a quality product. We'll stand behind it.
It really helps the rest of us move forward too in this larger movement of reclaiming and revitalizing our traditional foodways.
So who's ready for lunch? I know, sorry, I should be playing that like right after breakfast because I know it makes me hungry. And there we go. Awesome, so that's just kind of a handful of the producers who are part of the American Indian Foods Program. And I highly encourage you that if you are a producer or you make a value-added products or anything like that, you can reach out to me and I can put you into contact with Latasha Redhouse, who runs the program, and she can help you out if you're interested in applying for the program as well. We also have a natural resources department helping to protect our environment. Here at the IAC. They really help serve as the go-between between USDA Natural Resource Conservation Service and our tribal producers, because we know that protecting the land is something that we've done for generations, and we have to keep protecting the land in this generation if our future generations are going to be able to use it and feed themselves from it as well. And so helping, to empower our producers through trainings, we go to you out in the field, providing resources, direct and tailored assistance. Again, our natural resources department, like the TA network, they work very closely together just to make sure that tribal producers are served the best that they can to make sure that, their lands, their waters, their skies are healthy for future generations to feed themselves as well. Our newest sort of department program we have at the IAC is our Regenerative Economies program, or RES, as it's short for, helping producers access sustainable credit. So like I said before, 1987 was when the IAC was founded, and that was in the midst of the farm financial crisis. So we're really trying to make a concerted push to help producers access sustainable credit, because we know that access to credit is one of the #1 issues that our producers face when trying to both create an operation, start a new one off the ground, but also continue an operation as well. Ag is an incredibly intense, capital-intense venture. It's also incredibly risky, and as we know, with the effects of climate change, it continues to be even riskier. So helping our producers be able to access finance, be it through USDA programs, through private banks, through native CDFIs or other lending institutions, really trying to figure out how to connect producers to these sustainable forms of credit, and also making sure that financial institutions are really well equipped to serve the unique needs of Native producers operating within Indian country, because Indian country is exceptional, but we're also the exception to a lot of sort of norms in the way that traditional systems operate. I also want to shout out to Eleni. I already talked about her earlier, but she's actually here with a table of Native youth. So you guys want to wave? Yeah. Give it up for our Native youth who are here for the program. So these are the next generation of, nutrition advocates here in the room for Indian country. So our Youth and Professional Development Department helps, provide direct support for our Native youth all the way from high school through to career placement. So that might be youth summits when they're in high school, or helping them figure out the types of projects, that they're doing for school, how to indigenize them. Because if you have to do homework, might as well make it, to the benefit of your community. Why not? Maybe internships in high school and college, fellowships as well after graduation and leading into possibly apprenticeships, and then using the extensive network of the IAC and our partner organizations to figure out how to place these superstar Native youth into their dream jobs and the careers that are going to help them have that dream job and be able to serve their communities. So if you guys need letters of recommendation or anything, my email's at the end of this presentation. I got my eyes on you guys, here to support you. We also have our policy and government relations team, which is here to ensure that Indian country has a seat at the table. Like I said before, I'm our Associate Director of Policy and Government Relations, and we do sort of really four main things: advocacy, research, policy creation, and federal accountability. So one of our major arms for advocacy is through the Native Farm Bill Coalition, of which the IAC is a founding member, and it's currently housed under the IAC as well. I won't talk too much about this because my colleague Erin Parker of the Indigenous Food and Ag Initiative is actually going to be giving a presentation on it tomorrow morning, but we are going to be doing a listening session for the Native Farm Bill Coalition later today, which I'll talk about in the next slide. But it's a coalition of over 270 members, including 208 tribal nations, working to ensure that Indian country is included in the federal Farm Bill process. And we were created in 2017 ahead of the 2018 Farm Bill, which got us 63 tribal-specific provisions, which is more than we've ever seen before. So we're really successful. We're 1 for 1 in terms of a traditional, really successful farm bills. So we're hoping to build on that momentum for 2023. We do a lot of research in partnership with IFAI, help with policy creation, working with folks on the Hill or other nonprofit organizations. making sure that tribal priorities are included and that Indian country is well represented in these pieces of legislation. Also federal accountability, helping out with consultations, responding to requests for information, and just really sort of serving as that technical assistant specialist, really that expert in Indian country law and policy, and for tribal ag and food law, to make sure that folks know who to go to and how we connect them to the experts and folks on the ground to the programs would most likely affect. So like I said, the Native Farm Bill Coalition is going to be doing a policy roundtable today. It's on this slide if you want to take out your phone and take a picture of it, or if you like to collect pieces of paper, there's also a little pamphlet out on the front table by registration. So the Native Farm Bill Coalition today at this conference is going to be doing a listening session, policy roundtable at 5:30 p.m. in Owatonna rooms 1 and 2, and there will be appetizers. So if you're still hungry from the AIF video, this is a long time away, but you can come and swing by for some snacks. And also tomorrow morning, Aaron Parker of IFAI is going to be giving a presentation on the Native Farm Bill as well, and sort of what we're doing and also our priorities for the 2023 Farm Bill, which is coming up pretty soon here. And that is the end of my presentation, and I have my contact information here. Yeah, I know, pretty quick end, pretty abrupt. So if you are interested in learning more about any of the programs that the IAC offers, again, I hear from our policy and government relations team. Thankfully, I like my coworkers and we're all very friendly with one another. So if you're interested in one of the other departments or programs, I'm happy to be able to connect you with them. So I realize questions are not done by raising hands, but through Pigeonhole, so I don't really know what to do next. But thanks for having me, and yakoke, everyone.
Thank you. So we're going to go ahead and take some questions. And we know what's going on because we got the mustard color here. Yep. And fist bump. Yep, there we go. Make it pop.
I didn't do that.
Like this, yep. There you go. Okay, Lexie, are you doing any work with the Child Nutrition Reauthorization Act?
Yes, so earlier I mentioned just the Farm Bill, which is a huge piece of federal legislation, but we also work on the Child Nutrition Reauthorization Act. So the Farm Bill has most of the programs that you would think of at USDA, NRCS programs like EQIP or CRPP, crop insurance, commodities, things like that. It also has FDIPR or SNAP and WIC, but there's also the Child Nutrition Reauthorization Act, which is a whole nother giant piece of legislation, but it contains things like the National School Lunch Program and school breakfasts and summer food programs and child and adult care food programs. So, if our goal is to end hunger in Indian country and to help tribal communities be able to feed themselves, it seems pretty silly to only work within the realm of the Farm Bill. So we do also do some work with child nutrition reauthorization and are trying to figure out a way to get sort of a tribal nutrition improvement lens into CNR to make sure that if, a school wants to use traditional or native grown foods in their school meals programs, that they're able to do that without too many barriers. Because right now it's pretty checkerboarded across the country in terms of which states it's easy to incorporate traditional foods into the meal pattern and in which states it's much more difficult to do so. So we're trying to make sure that Indian country is better represented in that. So.
Okay, thank you, Lexie. Next question, do you know of any resources for those of us who would like to learn the traditional planting growing methods?
Yeah, absolutely. So I guess it depends on which region you're located in, which tribe you belong to if you're interested in learning more about traditional foods. So I would highly recommend that you reach out to the TA for your region, the technical assistant specialist, and I'm happy to meet you afterwards. I'm wearing a yellow suit, so I should be easy to find, and I can connect you to them. And they might know like someone who's specifically from that region who has, an extensive knowledge of, traditional foods within that specific region and can help you get started on, the seeds you need, the materials you need, when you should be planting, when you should not be planting, how to get credit, if you're trying to make it into an ag operation and you need some money to start it. I can help you connect to folks with that.
Okay, thank you, Lexie. Next question. How are you able to walk within the various worlds of conservation of traditional knowledge, practices, commercialization, and the political landscape without losing that Indigenous voice?
That is a really wonderful question, and I really appreciate that you asked it. I am very thankful in that I am doing my dream job, and I am, have the incredible honor of telling the story of Indian country and really serving as the go-between between our producers out in the field and legislators and federal administrators in Washington, D.C. So where producers might not feel comfortable, directly telling their story, like I get to be there and I get to be the one that, takes the brunt of the, sort of, regular regulations and technical issues. And I just get to be there and say, you know, this is what our producers out in the field are facing. You know, this is how a program is actually going to impact them in their daily lives. And so making sure that we are out in Indian country, we're doing, you know, we're traveling across the country this summer. We've already visited 15 different tribal communities so far this year, and we're probably visiting another 30 to 40 by the end of the year to hear directly from tribal communities, you know, what the issues are that they're hearing, what the issues are that they're facing, so that we can then go and try and create legislation or, you know, fix something statutorily to make sure it's actually serving them. So it's always rooted in what does Indian country actually need? Like, what do tribal communities actually need? And then going and telling that story in DC and saying, like, hey, y'all, you need to fix this because this is not serving Native Americans well, and you have a, you know, trust responsibility to fix that for us.
Thank you, Lexie. One more question here. Oh. She's really good at taking questions.
I'm really thirsty too.
So, thank you. Are most of the farming systems are based on regenerative agricultural systems to avoid soil depletion?
Yeah, is this farming system? Oh, I realize you can't answer this question. I don't know why I'm asking you for clarification. Like, oh, most of the farming systems in Indian country, you mean? Yeah, so a lot of our producers are engaged in regenerative agriculture. They're trying to return to more traditional ways of, you know, farming or ranching that we know are more, you know, in harmony with nature, or more, you know, not just extractive. Trying to bring back in, you know, maybe it's bringing in bison to help with soil health instead of, you know, bringing in cows, or maybe it's doing, you know, earth and mound types of, you know, damming for water conservation and activities like that. Not necessarily all 80,000 native producers are engaged in this type of regenerative agriculture, but there's definitely, based off of the sorts of TA requests we get, you know, a very large appetite across Indian country to be able to do traditional regenerative conservation type activities to ensure that, you know, our land, our water, our soil, our air are able to be used and appreciated and protected by future generations as well. So there's definitely a big push for it in our tribal communities.
Thank you, Lexie, and love your earrings. It says honor the treaties.
They do.
Thank
it's a reminder.
You. Thank you, Lexie.